Hey guys, so I wanted to actually I'll restart that. I gotta get the thing up. Hey guys, so I haven't made a video or anything, but I've been getting so many messages and questions and things like that in terms of stuff I've been posting that I kind of thought it would just be easier to make a video. Specifically, the reason I made this one is in response to a message I received a couple days ago, and I started to write out some of my thoughts about it, and then I realized that I really just wanted to make sure there was no disconnect, I guess. So a couple days ago, I posted this on my story. It's a little excerpt, rough draft from a project I'm currently working on. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll kind of just hit on the main points that I was trying to make in this passage. So basically, I was just talking about how in Western civilization, specifically Americans, have the need or desire to always have the best possible thing. So Americans always need the best phone. Americans always need the best clothes, or they need like specific clothes that fit their style. And I was just trying to point out that, um, this is a major issue that people don't even realize is an issue. So, first of all, this creates class separation. So we don't even just have a lower class and a middle class at this point anymore. We have a upper middle class, we have a middle class, and we have a lower middle class. And those things are separated by little tedious things like this, what we wear, what we buy, things like that. And I'm not going to get into it too much, but this is something that actually the rich politicians who run the country, right? Whether it's the uber billionaires or the politicians. This is one thing that helps them divide us, right? We've been talking a lot about how there's so much division in this country. Class division is huge, especially when you're working on uniting the labor force and uniting the people. The better you can separate uh, the working class of people, which is the lower and middle classes, the better off the rich bourgeoisie are, which they have us totally separated at this point. But beyond that, the point I was really trying to make is that, this American exceptionalism and this individualism and this idea that, we need to have this uniqueness in everything we do is pretty crazy when you think about it, right? So the example that I used is Cuba. And, Cuba does not have the same resources that the US has. Cuba has been under sanctions for 60 plus years, and yet they still find a way to get all of their citizens health care. They have a higher literacy rate than the US. They have a 99% ownership rate. And on average, Cubans live longer than Americans. And one thing I was trying to point out is that, in Cuba, they have this idea that uh, everybody should get the bare minimum thing, right? And so, kind of the joke I made in this was, wouldn't you rather give up your Gucci belt knowing that all U.S. citizens would be taken care of and get a belt, right? And I honestly didn't think that this post was too radical. I thought it was pretty straightforward. It's nothing different from what I've ever posted before. Um, but I received this really uh, what I would say is kind of an absurd comment on what I had said. And I just want to point out, I'm not trying to dox anybody. I'm going to hide the person's name and who it is. Um, and I debated if I wanted to even make this video, but I found that there's been quite a few people, I think, who think the same way, and I think it's super problematic. So, uh, you've had time to read my full excerpt. I kind of talked about it. So let's move on to the message I received. So he says, "Hey man, hope you've been doing well. I'm a staunch capitalist, but generally like to read your points of view. That said, here's some unsolicited feedback. This take is absurd, bordering on inhumane. Individualism does not inherently contribute to classism, and it doesn't stem from American anything. What's the point of human consciousness if the higher powers stifle one's ability to express themselves? If your goal is to convince a country of capitalists that your utopian vision is best, find a different avenue, because I've never thought less of your proposed systems than I do at this very moment. If I had to guess, most humans would agree that celebrating uniqueness, even if the cost is a misallocation of resources, is worth it. My personal opinion is that we could do a better job of facilitating more equity in allocation, but you've gotten away from that and are suggesting an entirely different, in my opinion, cruel North Star. So, a lot to unpack there. The first thing that I want to unpack is in that first little section, um, when he's saying that this is bordering on inhumane, um, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But when he says individualism does not inherently contribute to classism, so that is true. Individualism does not inherently contribute to classism, but what we've done in Western civilization and in the Western world is we have created individualism in places where individualism does not need take place, right? Um, I mean, you can buy different shoes, different jeans, different jackets, and things like that, and show your individualism and express yourself. That's not what my original post was saying. My original post was saying, why do we need Gucci belts to kind of symbolize a certain status in our class system, right? In our economic class system, and that is what contributes to classism. This idea that if I want to show that I'm middle class or upper middle class, I need to purchase certain things to kind of give off that status. When in reality, the middle class and the lower class are all the working class, right? We should all be together. It shouldn't be that we're trying to separate from each other. That was the point of my post, which you kind of missed. But beyond that, the thing that bothered me the most uh, about this message I received is in the last paragraph when he said, if I had to guess, most humans would agree that celebrating uniqueness, even if the cost is a misallocation of resources, is worth it. And I think that this is one of the most messed up things I've ever read in my life, if I'm being completely honest. This person literally just said that they think most people would agree that celebrating uniqueness, so having the opportunity or ability to choose the things you purchase, is worth human suffering, right? Because he says it is worth the misallocation of resources. A misallocation of resources means people are not receiving healthcare that they need, people are not receiving um, uh, protection under work hours, right? um, any misallocation of resources is implying that there's somebody being left out and somebody is not being taken care of. That is what is inhumane, right? This person is saying what I said is inhumane. What's really inhumane is thinking that humans should suffer just so you can pick between Abercrombie or Hollister jeans, right? That is so messed up to me. And I think the saddest part for me is, after thinking about this for a couple of days, I think he's right. I think that most humans would say that celebrating uniqueness is worth some sacrifice. And I think that this is the biggest disconnect that I have with most people is, I honestly don't care if we lived in some boring society where everybody had the same clothes and the same house and the same everything, because if that's what it takes for everybody to get the resources they need to get clean, to get clothes, to get clean water, to get a house, to get healthcare, to get food, right? If that is the system it takes to have everybody taken care of, why would we not do that, right? To me, it's absurd and inhumane to think that my ability to buy Jordan tennis shoes is worth people suffering and not having the resources they need. That is crazy. Um, and for me, that's like against my religion. I mean, if there's any, if you want to get religion into it, don't you think God or Allah or whatever religion you partake in um, would want everybody to be taken care of before you have the choice to pick between Nike and Adidas shoes or whatever? I don't know. I just really wanted to talk about that. Wanted to kind of get your guys' opinion. Um, and I think that that's what this whole thing is going to be about. So I'm hoping that I can make a couple more videos, and we'll kind of just start to get some different perspectives on not only what I think, but I kind of want to hear what you guys think about certain things. So hopefully I can get a couple more videos made, and maybe we can start making this a regular thing. um, I don't want to focus too much on politics. It kind of was thinking it could be more of a philosophical thing, thinking about how the world works and how our country works in this case and how people think. Um, but obviously, most things do come back to politics. Um, but I think we could have some fun with this. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But if you made it through this video, I appreciate it. Uh, I just love sharing my perspective with you guys. Hopefully, it gives you guys a different view on life. Um, yeah. All right.